Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about Chris Wray today, James Comey, revenge, um, Trump's new executive order that's going to fix things, ramp things up a little bit for those type people, and Trump's conversation about how he feels about how these cretins who got away with so much after we find more disclosure today involving another liar, Christopher Wray. Now, Christopher Wray lied under oath a bunch of times, and he should be held accountable too. He should be indicted as well. But before we get into all that, guess what we found out? They had 274 plainclothes FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th. It was a setup. The whole thing was a setup. So if these agents were there in police, as acting police, why didn't they handle some of the violent crowd and actually act like police officers? Because they weren't there to police the situation. They were there to steer the situation, including breaking the windows, ushering people in. 274 people there were agents. They did not assist with anybody being injured. They did not assist with trying to break up fights, anything of that nature. So what were they doing there? Were they Trump supporters? I don't think so. I believe those are the people that did all the perpetrating of the building. I don't know a single Trump supporter that even has the forethought to break into the Capitol as a way of trying to sway the vote. We don't think like that. That was definitely a left-wing deal from the get-go, a left-wing coup. And we know who all the people involved in that was, including the J6 committee, the Nancy Pelosi's, Christopher Wray. So many of them lied, just like they lied about the Russia collusion hoax. They lied about the election. They lied about statistics and numbers on our economy and so many other things, how many people they're letting in the country. And they lied to us about the weaponization of government that they say never existed. Now we're weaponizing government against them. But not meaning to get off track, but this was a total Fedsurrection. What happened at the Capitol. And a lot of us that seen a lot of the footage know it. We've already heard the story. A lot of people don't know it that listen to mainstream media, watch television, the CNNs, the MSNBCs. A lot of the local stations just refuse to tell the truth about it, even today. But we got some more disclosure coming out on it, because what's going to happen is the whole world's going to find out about it. When Chris Wray gets indicted for lying about the fact that he said that, not to his knowledge, was there no FBI agents on the property. I remember specifically when Andy Biggs and Clay Higgins blasted him in Congress saying, what, you can't tell me no, there was no FBI agents in the crowd dressed as Trump supporters? That was the exact question he asked him, and he just kind of, this guy's busted as well. But let's go ahead and get into the article, or I'll just rattle on. This is something that I've studied a lot about. I've seen a lot of the Bobby Powell footage, and just know that there's two sides of this story, including the fact that we've got dead to right proof that they wasn't allowing the National Guard to be there, but they let 274 feds show up in order to what? Break in the building. Well, that's my take on the whole situation. To rile the crowd, to be a Ray Epps. You remember that guy? It says former director Chris Wray lied to Congress and the American people when he said under oath that there were no FBI agents undercover on January 6th. In a congressional video, it appears that James Comey could have a familiar cellmate when he is finally sent to prison for lying under oath to Congress and to the American people. Former FBI Director Chris Wray lied and lectured the House Republicans for accusing the FBI of planting informants, operatives, and agents inside the massive crowd on Trump supporters on January 6th. We know that's exactly what happened. In a bold statement that directly contradicts multiple official sources, FBI Director Christopher Wray testified before Congress in July of 23 that he does not believe undercover agents were presented at the Capitol on January 6th. Wray's statement came during a tense exchange with Representatives Andy Biggs of Arizona, who specifically asked about the number of undercover agents in the Capitol vicinity on that infamous day. I'm sure y'all probably remember the Clay Higgins screaming in his face as well. Says, I'm not sure there were undercover agents on the scene. Now, we know damn well there was, and they weren't there to just spy on the Oath Keepers and stuff. They probably were the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, and then they were totally infiltrated by those groups. Those groups were totally infiltrated by the FBI, if not run by these agencies. The FBI, Christopher Wray, told me he does not believe there were any undercover FBI agents in or around the Capitol. Well, guess what? We now find out there is, like I said, 274 FBI agents were assigned there that day. Let's get down to that. The FBI had as many as 8 informants inside the Proud Boys in the months around January 6th Capitol attack, and recent court papers indicate raising questions about how much federal investigations were able to learn from them before and after it took place. Could they have stopped it? Were they part of it? Of course they were. I think they fomented it, and they did their best to make sure it happened. I think that's the best answer. The DOJ admitted that 40 government CHS agents were undercover on January 6th. Okay, there's one admission. It says Julie Kelly, who is probably the best investigative reporter that has done more to try to help these J6ers get out of jail and help them with their cases. I don't think anybody has done as much work as her. This is her forte, as far as I see her on the Benny Show and several other podcasts, and that's mainly what she likes to talk about, is freeing these J6 prisoners, getting restitution and retribution for the way everybody's been treated, from Trump down to the last granny that was locked up in that gulag. This is breaking another doozy of a motion filed today by the Proud Boys defense lawyer related to the informants, undercover agents. Number of D.C. Metro undercover keeps growing. Undercover agents keeps growing. It says this new information is plainly exculpatory. Body camera footage worn on January 6th by undercover Metropolitan Police show the undercover officers cheering on the demonstrators with chants of "Go, go, go! Stop the steal! Whose house? Our house!" Undercover operatives were planted among the protesters as instigators and not just observers. Of course they were. It says this brings the total number of informants among the defendants on and around January 6th, 50 or more, and there are reasons to suspect higher numbers. Now that is at one point. And then more body camera footage showing the riot. We're going to scroll down through this right here. It says, as a public disclosure around these events continues to unfold, Ray's claim stands in stark opposition to the confirmed facts. It remains to be seen how these contradictions will be addressed and what consequences will he have to face, being former director of the FBI as a whole. Now, they're saying that there is a total of 274. Now, I am not sure how they're coming up with that. Oh, okay. Julie Kelly says, here's 50 more. Here's 40. Okay. Here's 8. Okay, so that's several right there. Let me see here. Recent court documents reveal that Biden Department of Justice admitted to at least 40 undercover operatives with the Proud Boys on January 6th. Jesus. So all in all, they're saying that at this point the number is 274. I'm not sure how they actually come. Since Christopher Wray lied under oath and had 274 plainclothes agents in the crowd on January 6th. Well, if that's the case, and they know this to be dead to right through some factual documentation, or just adding it up, like Julie Kelly knows about 40, and this one knows about 50, and we know about 8 here, and they probably did the math and come up with it from several different figures, and they're guessing at this point to say at least 274. Now this FBI bombshell, 274 agents sent to the Capitol for January 6th. Many later complained that they were political, hidden for 4 years after an action report, after an after-action report on the FBI's involvement. That's what it was, an after-action report. That's what I was looking for. It says, says on the J6 riot, found that Director Patel shows dozens of agents feared that the FBI had become woke and literally biased. So a lot of the agents were complaining about it, I'm guessing. Okay. And Trump retweeted this. Or actually, this is a Trump post. Wow, a radical left Democrat scam, just the news. We were right about everything. Total setup. This is treason. And you remember I said the word treason? So we're going to talk about that word a little bit more as we get a little further into this video. I'll try to speed things up for you. I know it's Friday night. Everybody's got things to do. People to see. Places to go. Now this here is some original Bobby Powell footage. He's not with us anymore, but he was one of the investigators on the ground that day, Trump supporter and investigative journalist, and I've showed this footage 2 or 3 times in the past. But this is literally, I have to believe, one of the feds, this guy right here. Watch how he acts. This is a weird way to act, whether if you're a Trump supporter.
Do not go in there.
A radio journalist from Michigan was shooting video that day.
Did y'all catch that? The guy tore out the window, and then he realized he had a crowd drawn around him and looked suspicious. Then he starts pushing on the closest guy to him and starts screaming, "Don't go in there." And then he ends up wandering off.
At the Capitol. What he captured were 2 most charitably called suspicious actors, but they are dressed in such a way that led him to believe that they were government agents. And one of them, after the windows had been broken by a protester, it was encouraging people to pull the rest of the glass out and go inside. Bobby Powell, who was the journalist that had shot it, and he has his camera rolling, he told him that would be illegal. And that wouldn't be a good idea. He warned people off not to go into that window. And then he turned his camera around and he caught this agent or suspicious actor pulling a large pane of glass out, this tempered glass. It kind of folds into itself, crunch onto the ground. When he realized he was being filmed, he quickly dropped it. It seems apparent on the video that he did not want to be seen doing what he just did.
That's it.
So he pulled in a protester and started blaming him. He said, "What are you doing breaking that window?" The poor fellow that was being accused didn't know what was going on. And then he gave him a couple of really good shoves and cocked his arm like he was going to punch him. We don't know. His facial image is not on any of the Sedition Hunters sites or the FBI's most wanted site, but he clearly was committing criminal damage to property, and he has not been charged. So it raises a question of why.
Also, the individual.
Fed. That's just one of many cases we all know about Ray Epps. He was definitely working for the government as well. They basically scrubbed a lot of his stuff. He acted really suspicious the day before, tried to coax people to go into the Capitol. Which anybody that is a Trump supporter, I don't believe would want to tear up the Capitol to go in there. I just don't know anybody like that. I mean, only people that I know are crazy radical that like to break stuff or people that don't get their way. I usually call them Democrats. We've been putting up with the Democrats getting their way for 4 years. We haven't burned down cities. We haven't trashed capitals. We haven't insurrected anything. We've been peaceful and taking it on the chin. Well, now it's time to hold these people accountable. The ones that we know were bad actors involved. I'm talking about the feds that we can prove were there. I'm talking about their bosses that sent them there. I'm talking about the Nancy Pelosi admitting, what's the lady's name? Mayor Bowser, for colluding with Nancy Pelosi to make sure the National guard could not be at the Capitol and they would not have adequate policing, knowing that they wanted something bad to happen, knowing there was going to be over 1 million people there. So, as far as I'm concerned, what Pelosi and them did, this is treason. Why hasn't Pelosi gone to jail? Well, because this story is finally going to get to expose her. Hopefully this will come out pretty soon. We'll get indictments, not on one, not on two, but on everybody involved in so many of these different crimes. I think the FBI is probably overwhelmed with their caseload right now because of the corruption of the Democrat Party. Just a matter of which ones they pick off first, and I believe it's going to go down like that. I don't know if Nancy Pelosi will ever go to jail, but I hope they try to get her on RICO charges and freeze all their money so that way they're broke and keep them in limbo until they can put the court cases off to these people. Just set it out, maybe get them for, no, I prefer them to go to prison. That's the truth. I want them to be broke and in prison for what they've done. These people have been traitors to our country, and it's time they pay. Nancy was responsible for the insurrection. Trump was responsible for the peaceful protest. This was never seen footage. Check this out.
If they ask, I will respond, but I'm not doing it on a park because it's a diversionary tactic.
Understood. So we can pull this card out. Hillary's going to finish this card. We can pull it out for Q&A.
Okay. And then we can't say we will impeach him. We can say we'll call for it. We don't know because we don't have all the blue dogs with us on this subject.
Curious.
So let's look at the words. Okay, what else you got?
Okay, so just finishing the card.
Well, I would just say, and to declare every day at the Capitol a national security event. You understand what I'm saying?
That's good.
What a mess. What a mess. Did you have any confidence in this? I mean, son, what do you think then?
I think that it was the plan that they briefed on with the number of stakeholders that have signed off on it. We had some anxiety just about the presidency.
I'm just on that in before today.
Oh, he was not our first choice before today. No. We've always been skeptical. Always been skeptical of some. He's terrible relationships with the union. He's particularly been, I think, not great handling the coronavirus pandemic with the workforce. He has done some good things well. He's hired well at the sort of third tier rank. He's done some things on the operational side. But he's not a strong leader. He's not a strong leader.
Well, maybe we can say it this way. We can say, why don't we salute the whatever, blah, 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 for the failure of leadership at the top of the Capitol Police, and that's why I'm calling for the resignation. So let's soften it to them, and then with the failure of leadership at the top.
That's good.
And then,
Irving.
there's no use keeping somebody around who's gonna blow it, right? That, you know.
You're going to have a transition period anyway,
Yeah.
Irving. You're going to have a transition
He's already
period
going.
anyway.
He's already going.
Who?
Already.
Irving?
Yeah, we've been holding on his
No,
retirement
I understand that, but he wasn't going before the inauguration, is that correct?
only as a favor to us.
I don't care. I'm just talking about what exists.
Yeah, he
What
was
the
going
inauguration?
to stay through February until we found a replacement.
But was he just incapable? I mean, he's a I will respond. If they ask, I will respond, but I'm not doing it on a park because it's a diversionary tactic.
Folks, a lot of that was very inaudible. A lot of really bad audio on that. I'm going to get off of that. But sounds to me like they were trying to decide which one of the sons is one of the Capitol Police officers. I'm assuming they were trying to decide which one of these Capitol Police officers are going to take the fall for what's fixing to happen or be a part of it. They were definitely doing some pre-discussion of the Capitol Police's response. Kind of weird. We'll jump right into the next one, folks. I have got several clips. But yeah, the Bobby Powell had some really good footage. because he was filming. The one guy that was tearing out the window flipped the script on the closest person to him. So because now that we know that this J6 thing is all a lie, how does the rest of the world find out it was all a lie and a coup? Well, you indict and you prosecute everybody involved. And if they all go to jail, or a lot of them catch charges, a lot of them end up in the news, it's going to be kind of hard to deny that it's not just Trump going after his political enemies, and I'm sure they'll say that. But it'll be pretty obvious to a lot of people at one point when some of these people actually go into prison for what they did. At one point, you got to recognize there's got to be some accountability, or these people, if they're in jail, they probably did something wrong. They're going to spin the story, but I think it'll wake a lot of people up when this real prosecution starts. And I hope Chris Wray is just the first of many. It's got to be that way. We got to have accountability. Trump wants it. He's disappointed at Pam Bondi because it hadn't happened yet. He put in one of his new attorneys in the Eastern District of Virginia, and within a couple of days, she's already got an indictment walked across the street. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Put some new people in there, because obviously Pam Bondi doesn't have the power or the balls to move that fast. It says, breaking: President Trump posts that Obama should face justice for treason. They caught President Obama absolutely cold. What they did to this country in 2016, going all the way up to 2020, there should be very severe consequences. You seeing a pattern here, folks? Christopher Wray, James Comey, Obama, Clapper, Brennan. See, Trump tweeted this out today, and this is an older clip. But somebody put it out, and Trump re-put it out, I'm guessing. This wasn't that long ago, actually.
Absolutely cold. Tulsi Gabbard. What they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up all the way going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. You know, when we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking about. I know nothing about the other, but I think it's appropriate that they do go.
May I ask you about that, Mr. President? Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it.
There it is.
Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel.
Change the subject. I agree with him 100%. Obama's the problem. Obama orchestrated all this stuff. He didn't like the fact that he didn't get a third term. It killed him that he couldn't put Hillary in there and have her as his mouthpiece. So he cheated us out of the 2020. Crammed Joe Biden in there. Now, Trump's also got a statement about James Comey. And I've got the short version and the long version, folks. This here's the long version. If you want to see it over on my channel, you are welcome to check it out. And the long version about 8 or 9 minutes, but this is a couple-minute version. But Trump's dropping the hammer on James Comey. After we caught him in the lie, people, first thing reporters asked him is, "What do you think about what's going on with James Comey?" He's like, "Well, I'm trying to stay out of it, but he deserves it."
Who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he was worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion.
Deep state rat.
Weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
And will you appoint a permanent U.S. attorney to try this case? Lindsey Halligan has never tried a case.
Well, we'll see, but it's a pretty easy case because, look, he lied. You saw my truth today. He lied. It was yes, no. He didn't say, well, in my opinion, he didn't do a lot of things that maybe he should have, but I don't think he could because he lied. That was a very important question that he was asked, and he wanted to be specific, but he didn't. The only thing that happened to him, he didn't think he'd get caught.
What do you say?
That answer that he gave, that was a very important answer, and it was for him, it was a very good answer if he didn't get caught. But he got caught lying to Congress.
Are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me for 4 years. They went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from 2016 when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing. And then it got worse and worse, and some of the fakers, not you, but some of the fake news picked it up and they loved it. And we went through a long time with that. And despite that, we had a great first term.
That's how it went. Were they?
All right, we'll move on to the next one. But yeah, Trump is he's letting it be known. These people need to be taken care of. These people need to be investigated. These people need to be indicted. These people need to be prosecuted. I think he should probably stay out of it because of the fact he's going to get one of these judges that says that it looks like revenge because Trump's got an opinion about it. But he's just being honest. They done it to me, and these are the actual criminals. They tried to make me out to be a criminal over the exact charges that they're guilty of. If that ain't some flipping a pancake. Now, they said originally there was 51 intel agents, a total of 17 intelligence agencies that all agreed that the Russia collusion hoax was real. The Russia meddling in 2016 during the presidential election was all facts. They even signed letters on it. But the truth of the matter was, it was only just 3 professional liars ordered by Chief Barack Obama. They all lied under oath. Tulsi Gabbard caught them with documents. Comey, Clapper, Brennan. It was Obama, Comey, Clapper, Brennan. This right here is how the Russia collusion hoax started. Actually, Hillary Clinton, they farmed it out for Hillary Clinton through Fusion GPS and Perkins Coie, a couple of different law firms. They had the Steele dossier created overseas through another intel agency. They thought they were going to get away with something. They got caught. Now will they pay? I hope so. I want to see all 4 of these guys perp walked in orange jumpers, wearing striped suits in the Gray Bar Motel. I'm ready. Now, Trump is doing some really big things to try to curb all this corruption, this political violence, trying to fix things to where people are held accountable, just in general. And it starts with the politicians. It says, here we go. Trump signs an executive order directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to fully enforce capital punishment in D.C. and across the country. Oh, I'm guessing it's the Attorney General for D.C. That would be what, Jeanine Pirro? And across the country for all applicable cases. What crime carries the death penalty? Treason. Deep state actors are on notice. Trump signing executive order.
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington, D.C., but all over the country again. And as you saw very recently, we are now moving the inmates who were on death row, who Joe Biden or the auto pen commuted their sentences off of death row. We're moving them to supermax facilities where they will be treated like they're on death row for the rest of their lives, President Trump.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Not only are we seeking it in Washington.
Okay, they caught me off guard on this video here. This is about the Joe Biden pardons. These people, they got them off death row, but they're still in prison. They're gonna put them back, get them out of that cushy cell they're in, put them back in supermax, hardcore, miserable life prison. That's what they need. They shouldn't get that get out of jail free card or that cushier cell or that nicer prison. You shouldn't get transferred to a nicer prison when you were on death row last week. Shouldn't work like that. Not under any normal circumstance. So I'm just glad to see it. But I think it is putting it out there that treason's a problem. Death penalty for crimes. We got to take action in this country to be responsible citizens, and for those that think they're to be held unaccountable, or never to be held accountable, should I say, like the Adam Schiff types and the Nancy Pelosi types. These people have been criminals their whole lives that think they're above the law because they're politicians. Like we've heard so many of them brag about how you can't take me to jail. I'm so and so. Well, I am waiting on the day that they're not just crying about Jimmy Kimmel and James Comey, but the list is so long they'll just eventually get over it. What'll happen is the deep state is going to start fighting back one way or another, and the only way they know to do right now is to pump the narrative on the left as hard as they can to try to convince a good portion of this country that Trump is doing something wrong by going after the people that should be in jail, whether they're his political enemies or not. They should still be in jail, irregardless. All right, I got two more little clips for you here today, folks, and we will call it a wrap. Now, I did hear George Soros's right-hand man, one of his financiers, got caught in a multiple women sex trafficking ring. If you want to learn about that, you can come over here to my Devoted Patriots 2 X channel and scroll down my page, and you will find it. It's about 6 videos down, 6 clips down. Now, Elon Musk tweeted this out earlier. It says, breaking at 3:29 a.m., Elon Musk just posted a photo of Trump on the beach with seashells saying FAFO. This is in accordance to the 8647 that James Comey put out, for reference sake, if you don't already know. I love it, I love it. That is too good. Alright. Okay, I hope everybody's having a great Friday evening, enjoying their evening with their spouse or your significant other, your family, your friends. Or maybe you're just enjoying your evening by yourself in front of your computer. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful day today. I've had a blessed day myself. Got lots of food for the homeless. Going to be feeding them here come Sunday. And it's going to be great. Now, I don't know what happened to my laptop. Let me back up. This is not the video I was looking for. Yes, folks, it is a wonderful Friday evening here at the house. I'm off work, enjoying my time, doing a little scrolling, doing a little podcasting, putting out a few tweets. Just a wonderful day. Going to spend the rest of the evening, enjoying my evening with my wife after I jump out of here. But first, let's scroll down to what's trending over here on my For You page. And that's why I see it. Okay, here, now it makes sense. This is Carrie Lakes talking to Jack Posobiec about Charlie Kirk. No, we're going to scroll past it. Let's scroll down and see what's trending today. This is Laura Loomer says, nah, we're not going to do that either. Let me scroll down. This is the new Miss Halligan. This is the woman that went across the street and made sure that James Comey was to be served his indictment. I love it. I love it. Now, you know, folks, they're going to be crying about these other people when they get indicted, too. It ain't just James Comey. It's going to be Clapper, Brennan. There's going to be so many. Did y'all know that Comey indicted Martha Stewart and General Mike Flynn for far less than this? And Comey's behavior is far worse since he was lying in service of a wiretapping on the Trump campaign, the results of which would be used to try to swaying his 2016 election and later sabotaging Trump's first term. James Comey, the more you learn about him, the more you realize, God, this man is evil. Evil. All right, folks, that's what I got for you today. Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Like I said, oh, wait a minute, one more. This right here is, never mind. Over and out, folks. Have a good day.